Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Monday, it's October 22nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And basically, this is a trading range day. You can see the overnight low, the overnight high, and we never traded outside of that today. We made higher lows and lower highs. We just kind of got tighter and tighter, and we did close down slightly. We closed at 2760, where the last close was 2768 or so. So we closed down a little bit, but there's a lot of movement here still. Nothing like we've had the last few days, but still some pretty good movement here. If you've got an email you're looking for, real quickly before we start on the chart lesson, if you're looking for an email or an answer, I apologize. I'm about a day behind, but I've had a little issue. My It's kind of crazy, but my daughter, when she was young, was scared to sleep by herself. So when she was about 3, we bought her a cat, and she's 17 now, so she's been sleeping with this cat for 14 years, and that was the only way we could get her to sleep in her bed alone. We could bought her this cat, and she's had this cat for 14 years, and it died last night. So you can imagine there's a meltdown at my house today, and so um, I had to go bury. I had to leave after I traded this morning and go bury this cat and deal with my daughter and help her out. So she's really having a hard time with it. So I mean that she's had that cat basically as long as she can remember her whole life, and suddenly it's gone and is like part of the family. So it was an indoor cat, and he slept with her every night and has for 14 years. Um, so just keep my family in your thoughts. I appreciate it. I know it's just a cat, but seriously, it was really like family to us, and especially her. So anyway, that's kept me out of the office most of the afternoon, and I'm just coming back to do the chart lesson. I'm gonna wrap this up and get out of here. Not a lot of trades today, still plenty of really good ones though, and I'm gonna wrap this up. And but if you're looking for some emails, I'm gonna try to answer them before I leave tonight. But it may take me till tomorrow to get caught up. So I apologize if you're looking for something. I didn't get a chance to read emails at all yesterday either. It was the really kicker here, and so I'm really 2 days behind on emails. So bear with me. I'll get caught up by tomorrow. And but right now let's get to the chart lesson. You can see uh, how we had the big trend down, then we bounced, and it looked like we may try to make a measured leg down, but we couldn't never get any lower, and we just kind of bounced sideways. So let me back out. We'll get through the trades. I'll try to answer as many of the emails as I can this evening before I leave again. And if I don't get to all of them, I'll get the rest of them tomorrow. And I appreciate you bearing with me. But anyway, when I came in, 7 o'clock hours right in here, um, where we start to turn down here, and you get a lower high, and we're still a good bit away from the EMA. There are 3 matching lows, but these are all relatively bearish bars. If it breaks lower, we're probably going to make at least another leg down. I like that one. We do get a failed second entry long here. However, I'm not crazy about it simply because notice how we bounced on the EMA here and didn't really push through it. That's a little bit, I mean, you could bounce down there. Plus, this is not really a very good trend. There's not a lot of bars there. So this is more of a sideways thing. But when it breaks higher and fails, it's a breakout pullback short. So you might be better off to look at this more as sideways really than a little trend down. But there is somewhat of a trend there. But this one's a little risky. It worked. It was a nice trade, but it's just not a great setup. So I marked it green, and that's the reason, because it was right into the EMA. And notice on the way up, we had this big trend up in the overnight. We had a break, a clear move to a new high, then a lower high, so I like that one. Even though this would have worked, it did bounce again, and it comes back. And notice you're moving up, you get a first entry, and then you get a little sideways and a little failed break higher. I like going short there again, and off it goes. And you can see there's a little trend up, and you get the close outside, move to a new high, and it sells off. And if you catch this one trade, you can ride this all the way down. You can at least ride it till you get your first real bounce here, back to the EMA. So this was a great early morning, right out of the gate trade here. And there's somewhat of a double top there as well. can see that right across there. And you could really even look at that almost as a double test. Tested it once, twice. You could even bring it down to here and test it once, twice. So this was the trade of the day. If you had a better signal bar here, I would take this. I wouldn't have a problem taking this trade, but you may not have had this trend channel yet. If you drew it right off here, you could drag it up and see if it fits, but you really didn't get this until you got these first two swings, and you couldn't really confirm it on the bottom yet either until it got down here and made your next lows. So as you notice, it does fit here. So if you'd have drawn your regular trend line, you might have still found it, but this was not an easy one to find. So you really didn't know. Only thing is, this is a pullback to the EMA after two legs down. So and it is a breakout pullback to test these highs again. And notice it's a lower high than that one. So when it turns down, you're still making lower lows and lower highs. So I didn't mark this one, but if you had a big bearish bar here on yours, you might take it. Again, it was another great move down, and I don't see anything else here. There's a failed second entry long here, but we've already come off the bottom here, and everything should be fitting in place now. You can find your midline, your high, and your low by this point. And so I don't like going short anywhere down here. You might have liked this one because it's a second entry short right here when it broke lower. Right off a midline. So that one's a possibility. I didn't mark it because we've been away from the EMA for a long time. And we're still not quite back to it. And you see it did try to go back again. So I'm not crazy about it, but I'll mark that one because it is a second entry short off the midline. But just be patient and usually you'll get a better one. And then finally we bounce and we come back to the trend line. You get a big bearish bar. Even though there's no break of that short-term trend line, just simply because it confirms that the trend line or the bigger trend line is so bearish. There is a second entry here, so you could have waited on that one. It didn't break higher, but it's still a higher low, and that probably might have been the better place. It's more bearish. It's not a great signal bar either, but it's bearish enough, and it's off that trend line that you might take it. There's plenty of room to get out, but I think your better entry was just to go ahead and enter right there. I mean, this thing's pretty bearish, so. And that is a double test. I forgot to mention that. That's another reason I like that one. You can see that trend line right across there. And you made that high, you tested it again. And it is a pullback to test the breakout lows of this double bottom here as well. So I like that one. And of course, we're moving down. You get a first entry long, you get a second entry long that breaks that short-term trend line and turns down right off that key entry point again. It's only a first entry. It's a fairly bearish bar. It's not a perfect bar, but it's a failed second entry long, and it is off the key entry point. So, and it is a double top. So I like that one as well. You got enough room to get out. It doesn't go very far, but it does give you enough. I marked it green just simply because it's not a perfect setup, but it's a pretty good one. Notice we do come back and it breaks higher and turns and goes out the other side, but it's right into all those lows, and we moved a long way. That's just not a great setup there. If you had enough room to get out, I think it would have worked. I think you might have got enough. Let me just look and see real quick. I'm curious because if you'd have gone short, you'd have went short at 52 1/4, and this went down to 51. It was just enough to work like usual. So, but I still, it's just so much sideways by that time. Look at all that congestion. There's a little trading range there. Let me put this on there just to make it a little more clear. You can see the highs right there. You can see the lows right across there. And so it's just a little risky there. But anyway, it bounces. You get a little double bottom. First entry short, second entry short. This is one of those big rallies that takes off. So with it coming back to the trend line, and you could see it across the top here, it was fitting pretty well. And you draw it across the bottom. Bounces right off it. We weren't back to the EMA, but you had two almost perfect legs up and then a failure. So you're probably going to catch some people trying to trying to sell a top here, and look at it go. All these shorts are exiting now. Normally, I may not mark that, but with all the volatility lately, we keep getting these huge rallies like that, and you just about don't want to miss out on them. So I barked that one today off that key entry point. And it is notice this is a double bottom, so first entry, second entry after two measured legs up, it's a failed second entry short. That was another reason. It is a little breakout pullback. It didn't quite get back here to test it, but it's because the trend line was holding, it took off. Then, of course, we finally get a break here. You get a first entry long, you get a second entry, and it wasn't a very good setup here. It did break lower and then go out the other side, so you are looking for a possible retest here. So you might have taken that one. I'll mark it green. But when it fails right here and doesn't go anywhere and gives you that big bearish bar, I like looking for another leg down at a minimum. You can see the first leg, and there's your second leg, and it's basically two perfect measured legs down. And then you get a higher low here, it pushes through, but a lot of stems on both sides. That's another one that you may risk to the upside, because you're still a possibility we're going to try to go back to, especially with two legs in the middle. That might be, or two measured legs, that might be the middle of a pattern. So you might take that one as well. Again, it's not a perfect setup, but I'll mark it green. There's probably some others in there you could argue for green, but it runs up here and gives you a second entry short, and this is not really a convincing close outside, but it does close outside. You see if I put that trend line right where it goes, you get a little close outside, move to a new high. But when it made this lower high, I like going short there, looking, because now you got another two legs up, and that could be the center of that pattern. And this one, you really, it's not a perfect signal bar, but it's still pretty bearish. It is right back into the EMA too, but now you're swinging back and forth above it, so that's not as critical right here. You could probably argue for that one to be green. The better trade was to wait here, and you get your failed second entry long, and you break higher and turn and go down. I like going short right below that, or either right below here. At that point, this is looking like it may be more down here, and so you would have had room. I end up tightening it up a little bit. But that's the trade you really want. Then it comes back right back to the trend line again and does the same thing, gives you another bearish bar right off the key entry point. And the fact that we're pushing through here again leads me to believe that this is probably a midline, and so we got a little room to go. So I like that one. Comes back. There's another first entry here, but you've moved so far now, I'm a little leery of taking one down here without a second entry. Again, you probably could argue for that one, because you just don't, you don't have a lot of room here to get second entry. So I'll make that one green as well. There were several of them in here. I just kind of overlooked them, but as we're talking about them, I'll add them in there. But now you got a break and a new low, and maybe this is down here, but it doesn't fit real well there. It looks like we maybe got a little bit of a overshoot right there. And so you're heading higher. There's actually a failed second entry short, but we're still below the EMA. There's still a lot of negative bearish here. We're still making lower lows and lower highs with two legs up. So I don't like that one, even though it worked. And if you'd had a nice bearish bar here, there's kind of a triple test there, and it's kind of a repeat pattern of this right here. But my signal bar is not very good. If you had a good signal bar, you could argue for that one. So, but you need a good signal bar. I'll make it green. But just make sure you understand you need a good signal bar there. And I don't have one, so I'm not taking that trade. It runs on down, and it overshoots again. But again, it fits perfectly right here versus moving it on down. So I didn't change my lines. I think I had them right, and we just had an overshoot. And so we'll probably get a break on the other side or close outside. First, you got a little double bottom, first entry, you push on through, pull back Second entry short, it fails, and look how bullish that bar is. Go long right there. It does push back and give you a second entry long here, but it also gives you a close outside. And so all we got to do is make a new high, and it could turn down again. It does run up. The only reason I don't like this one is because if this is an overshoot, we might get one here. And you can see that's exactly what happened. It makes a lower high. If it hadn't been for this overshoot, I'd be telling you to go short right here. But generally, you're better off to wait on the lower high. And it actually broke higher and turned out the other side. That gives you plenty of room back to the EMA. Go short right there. Another nice move. Then you're working higher, and you get another second entry short and another triple test here. I'm having some problems with my mouse today for whatever reason. I may need to start my machine again or something. It's like I'm double clicking, but I'm not double clicking, so I don't know what's going on with it. But it's giving me a hard time. But anyway, you can see that double test right there and that big bearish bar right at the key entry point. Take that trade. And you know, you may be able to ride that down all the way in the close, and it actually end up making, you actually get a lower high here, and notice this is a new swing high. So first entry, second entry, it fails. Big bearish bar, I like that. Once it started going sideways though, I wouldn't take any more shorts there. Just not enough room. So that's what I saw today, and I'm not going to add to that or beat around the bush about it because I want to try to read a few emails. But you can see there's quite a few green ones in there. But notice how they're kind of right in the middle of the high and lows of the range when you're kind of working both ways, and that's usually the scariest place to enter, or the most dangerous place to enter. And that's another reason those, you know, I don't like marking those. When you drop out and look at the context of the big picture, you're kind of right in the middle. They end up going lower, but you don't know that ahead of time. Generally, a lot of times right in the middle when you're swinging, you know, if you're trending up, don't worry about the middle, or if you're trending down, don't worry so much about the middle. But we're swinging back and forth, and it looks a little rangy right in there. So you got to be a little more careful with it. Once you come back to this trend line, now you've got a confirmed trend coming down, so that's a little different. But anyway, pretty good trading day. Not as many trades a day as what we have been seeing, but there were several nice runners. Several of these would have given you a nice runner. And you only need one or two trades on a day where you can pick up a nice runner. I'll be honest with you, I have traded a little more than normal with some of this volatility. Some of these days you just hate to, you don't get many days like some of them we've had. So I traded a little more, and even though I met my target, my profit target, I still traded and just trying to make a little extra. It's, you know, I'm torn about whether or not to do that, but you just don't get many days like this, and I wanted to take advantage of them, so I know I did. And I'm always careful about admitting sometimes what I do, because people will think it's okay to go do it, and they'll skirt the rules, and next thing you know, they lose. But this is some pretty prime trading, I'll just be honest with you, and it's kind of hard to not take advantage of it. So if you did, I don't blame you, because I did too. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. I'll try to get to these emails. It may be tomorrow before some of you hear from me, but I'll get caught up by tomorrow. But anyway, I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.